Welcome back to Dave's Desk, another Bible Basics, and today we're looking at the story of Esther. If you've watched the last few videos, we've been talking about the exile that the people of Jerusalem, the people of Judea were sent off to in Babylon, which was then overtaken by the Persians, and the story of Esther is set in the palace of the Persian rulers, and it's a really well told story that focuses on two Jewish characters, Esther and her uncle Mordecai, and two Persian characters, the king and one of his noblemen, Hamnan, whose name I can never remember, manage to pronounce properly. And essentially Hamnan is the baddie. He is not a fan of the Jewish people, and he's conspiring with others of his people, the Amalekites, to destroy the Jewish people within the Persian Empire, which is basically all of the Jewish people. And Mordecai overhears this, and he comes to know about this plot, and so Mordecai communicates that to Esther. And Esther, although she's married to the king, and you'd think, today if my wife knows about a plot, she can just come and talk to me about it. But she's one of many wives. She's not allowed to invite herself to see the king. She has to wait for an invite. But she can't wait for an invite because her people are facing destruction. And so through her wisdom, she chooses, and through Mordecai's encouragement, she chooses to approach the king, to take her life into her own hands in doing what is quite a risky thing. And she organises for her to have a feast with the king and with Hamnan, and through a series of well-chosen arguments and pauses and graciousness, she brings it to the point where Hamnan confesses in front of the king that he is conspiring to kill all of Esther's people, and presumably Esther as well. And the king, in his rage at having his wife threatened in this way, turns on Hamnan, and he is put to death. And the Jewish people are given authority to defend themselves against the conspirators, and thousands of conspirators die, and the festival of Purim is begun as this remembrance of deliverance from destruction. And what's really remarkable about all of this story is that God famously is never mentioned throughout the story. And that can seem a little bit odd, and you can be like, well, why is there a book in the Bible that doesn't have any reference to God? And it's because it is a book in the Bible, and therefore God's presence is there. It's like writing a Sherlock Holmes story where you never actually refer to him, you just talked about all the characters involved in it. You'd always be wondering when he was going to turn up and what he was doing. And if he never turned up throughout the whole story, you might then start looking back at the story, read it again, and think, well, that was slightly odd, that thing that didn't seem like it should work worked. I wonder if somewhere Holmes was in disguise, or if Holmes was doing something in the background that we never knew about. And that's what's going on in Esther. God's actions are only ever in the background. They're implied, and we're supposed to go diving into the story to look for where God is acting through Mordecai, through what happens to him, through Esther, or through what happens to her. And it was just for me an encouragement that sometimes we think, I wish God would just show up and do this thing and it would all be okay and it'd be really obvious. And actually God is there. He has shown up. He's doing his thing. He's doing it through you, and you don't notice because he's there with you, and just that gentle, small encouragement. And I just want to say, if right now it feels like God isn't working through something you're struggling with, it might be worth sort of writing it down somewhere, recording it somewhere, looking back in the future, and you'll be able to see how God was right there in your midst. That we don't always notice God, we don't always name him when things are happening, but that really does not mean he's not there. Thank you for joining with me today. I hope that's of some encouragement. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.